Let's talk about the Excel filter function, a new one in Office 365 that can help you filter stuff in Excel. But it can also help you do more interesting stuff like VLOOKUP to the left or maybe a lookup with multiple criteria. My name is Radu. I help you master Office apps so you have more time to spend scrolling on Facebook, Instagram or whatever. Let's get started.
I know it's kind of weird to think about the filter as a function and not as a button, because we've been using these buttons, right, like forever to filter data in a table, also this button here. Yes, but the filter function does pretty much what all of these buttons do. So let's take an example. I have a table here with sales on multiple states, and I want to see all the sales in the state of maybe Florida. Okay, that's the first scenario. I'm going to use the filter function. I'm going to say, okay, I want to see all of this data. I want to see the entire table. I want to filter in the entire table. Then I'm going to say for the state column, just moving this a little bit, for the state column, I want to make sure that it's equal to, I can click on Florida or I can write Florida. But let's say I'm going to write it here. And then click enter. And it looks pretty, the result looks pretty interesting because it's not a single cell, it's a table. That is because the filter is an array formula. I mean, it doesn't give me only one result, it can give me multiple results, and this is pretty cool. But let's face it, this scenario is pretty useless, because why would I want to do that? It's much easier for me just to click on that button and select Florida. And I agree with that. This is not very useful. I mean, it's very cool to impress your colleagues, but it's not very useful. It might be more useful to do something like VLOOKUP to the left or a lookup with multiple criteria using this function. Let's see how. So I have this table and some of my orders are returned. I can see all of them here. So I have around 10,000 lines in these tables and a few hundred lines in this table. I want to bring here column A. I want to bring it back to that table. I know that I could use VLOOKUP if I would change the order between the two, but I don't want to do that, so I want to use the filter function. So let's write it up. I'm going to use the filter function. I want to say that this is the column that I need to have it returned, and I want to say for the order ID, let's change it a little bit. I'm a bit concerned about performance because it can get a little bit messy if I don't pay attention. I'm going to select from the first to the last. Then I'm going to lock it because I want to make sure that these are okay. And then also do the same thing. Let's take all of this and I want to be equal to this order ID. So it's pretty simple. Give me the column A if it's equal to order ID, and also lock this too because I want to make sure it stays the same. This can stay unlocked. Click enter and it says #call. This is basically that it couldn't find anything because not all of my orders, not all of them are returned. I did multiply this and I can see that I have this column here. It says yes because these orders have been returned. Of course that I can combine this with an if error, so it doesn't say, no, I can do something like if this equals error, then I'm gonna say no to make a little bit more elegant. Just like to point out the fact that I didn't select the entire column, I selected from the first cell to the last cell because when you're using lots of filter functions, it can take a little bit of time, and I'm not really keen on waiting for Excel to execute functions. So let's move on and let's take another example. This time I want to have let's say a lookup with two criteria. For example, I want to have the price for this combination of row ID and order ID. So I'm going to copy these just here to the right, and I'm going to also hide some rows, some columns, because it's easier for me to show you. So I want to get the price for this combination of row ID and order ID. So I'm going to use the filter function as an array, I just want the sales column, and the first condition is going to be on this column to be equal to that one. And here I have a problem because I need to have two conditions. I have only put one, and I could, if I put a semicolon here, it's not going to work. So what I have to do is going to be weird, but you know, Excel is weird sometimes. I'm gonna have to put a parenthesis and multiply it, with a second condition. So the second condition is basically this column has to be equal to 2, you know. I know it's weird, but this is what works in the filter function. And if I hit equals, I can see that is this price that I can also see here. When you are filtering to, let's say, according to more than one condition, you need to have this multiplication and these parentheses. I know, very cool, right? We took 3 examples. Firstly, it was just a filter on this table. Secondly, it was a filter that did something similar to VLOOKUP to the left. And thirdly, it was a filter that did a lookup according to 2 criteria. I know that you could do something similar with SUMIFS, but SUMIFS can only return a numeric value. Filter can return any type of value, and that's pretty cool.
Before I close this, I just wanted to say that I pretty much like this function, pretty cool, except those parentheses and multiplications. That's pretty weird. You know, this function is also on Google Sheets, and in Google Sheets it's much easier to work with multiple conditions, but you know, that's life. That's what we have. That was it. Hope you liked this video, hope you learned something new. Hit the like button, subscribe, and see you in the next one.